Hey addicts, welcome back. We're here for The Walking Dead, episode 14 called Scars. And I know I don't have episode 13 up, but like I said, if you saw the other video, had problems with that. I'll try to get that one out, or maybe we'll talk a little bit about that one too at the end of this video. But starting off, we're going to start with the recap. So opening up this episode, we get to see a glimpse of the flashback because in this episode they talk about what happened in between that led to Michonne being so cold and closed off from everybody. So we start with the beginning parts of what went down with Michonne out looking for Rick. That's where she finds his Python, his revolver, and Daryl's out there also looking. They have a moment-to-moment, and we do know that Michonne is pregnant at this time, so it's before she has RJ. And then, we get this, there's this great line that Daryl gives where he's just basically like, he's going to keep looking and he's never going to stop looking, until he finds something concrete, which, just hit me in the feelings. So, with that being said, you get a little bit of like back and forth, like they always do, where it flashes forward to present day, and then it goes back to whatever storyline they got going. So in the present day, we get to see that Daryl, Connie, Henry, and Lydia meet back up at Alexandria, and this is what's kind of triggering Michonne's memories because it's very similar to what transpires in the flashback. But we get to see that she ends up letting them in, and they let Henry get patched up there, and obviously she has some distrust still about outsiders, so she's a little bit hesitant about Lydia, making sure that at least somebody's watching her at all times. We even get to see Michonne have a little talk with Lydia, and she said some cool things. She said something like to the fact of, if I could separate myself and just, be by myself and not have to worry about, caring about everybody, that would be a better situation. She's basically talking to Lydia in that sense. So, damn, Michonne. But I understand Lydia's not doing her any favors. Which, by the way, just real quick, I want to highlight Henry's little bitchiness here, where he's like, he gets stitched up and he has a scar on his leg, and he's just like, ew, gross, isn't it? It's like gonna leave him a scar. And I'm like, I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. It just was like, man, what a wimpy guy. But, I mean, to be fair, I'm glad we got that than Lydia licking Carl's eye socket, because we didn't need any of that. So at least they didn't go that route. But anyway, we get to see, it goes back to the flashback, and the people at the gate, they show up, or well, I guess one of the Alexandrians found them out about him, ended up bringing them there, and they had some kids with them, a couple, I think. And then so Michonne lets them in, and we actually figure out that one of the people that is let in into this mysterious group is an old friend of Michonne's, and they call her Jocelyn, which I don't believe that's a name from the comic at all, so I don't know where they probably just made it, but it sounded like she was kind of like a college friend, maybe, or farther back. It did say something about she hadn't seen her for 15 years, so it could have been farther back than that. But yeah, that's a little bit of establishment. They've basically been together for a while, and so it was a big reuniting. But we get to find out that they actually have more people that are out and about that they need to go get. So Michonne goes with a group from Alexandria to retrieve the other people, and it doesn't end up like you think originally. Well, it still ends up probably how you think, but they don't do it here. They don't get trapped or anything, but they do find these kids. They're in a butcher place or a school, and it's probably 80 to 90% of the group that they find are kids, ranging from probably, I don't know, not preschool, but elementary grade to maybe middle school. So we get to see that, and you get a little bit more insight of, like I said, this Jocelyn character and how she connects with Michonne. But then we get to flash back to the present, and in episodes past in the season, we've seen that Judith has this, I guess, misgivings toward how Michonne is dealing with things. Obviously she thinks that, we should be helping the people that, we're friends with. and Michonne's like against helping literally anyone, and so we get to see them. Judith actually runs off, and she heads out to find Daryl and them, because at this point Daryl and the rest of them have already left to go to the kingdom. And so this leads to Michonne frantically looking for Judith. We get to see a moment where she goes down to interrogate Negan to see if he's heard or talked to him at all, which I haven't been a fan of Michonne and Negan's interactions beforehand. I felt, they were kind of weak, but in this instance, I really liked it. I think what helped it a lot was Negan's it has his character more personified in this, I think. Before, it felt like a really broken down, like, whipped Negan. And in this one, he had a little bit fire back in there. So I like that. And that really made that dynamic a lot better. But then that leads us to the next flashback thing that I wanted to talk about, which is we get to see that they get swindled basically by the kids, and they kidnap the kids of Alexandria. They kill a couple people, and then they raid everything that they had. This is in the flashback scene. So Michonne and Daryl end up going out to find them, and as they're going and searching for people, we get this moment with Michonne and Daryl, and I really like the conversation they had. Daryl has had a lot of these moments in the new season, and I have been liking his dialogue especially a lot. But I just wanted to highlight that real quick because I thought that was good. I don't, want to try to recall specifically because I'll butcher it, but if you go back and watch it, I think that was a good highlight of those characters. But then. Let's see here. What is this? Oh yeah. We get the point where they meet up. They end up finding one of the kids, and then they get kind of led into a trap. I would say, sort of, kind of. It's not so much that they were thrown off. It's just I think that they were so not prepared to fight kids that led their guard down a little bit, which is kind of understandable. But then we get the scene where, obviously this Jocelyn character is very, whacked out in the head, teaching these kids to basically be killers, and Ruth was the one that said that, even going to the point where we get to see how Michonne and Daryl got these scars, whereas Jocelyn's forcing these kids to basically torture Michonne and Daryl. One of the things that I don't know if it was just my recording of the episode or if they actually filmed or released the episode like this, so maybe you guys can say it, but we get to see after they have the whole torture thing, it goes to like commercial and then it comes back, and then mysteriously Daryl's already knocked out one of the guys, and they're already getting out of their bindings to go look for the people, whereas right before it cut to commercial they were completely surrounded, and it was like Michonne screaming at Jocelyn's face as she was getting piped with that red hot steak. So that, like, if it was just to cut out in like my recording, then okay, I'll have to go back and see if I can find how that flows better. But if they actually did that and what I saw was the whole thing, I really don't like that, because it's like, okay, well, how did they get out of that scenario? Why didn't we see that? So that, and it's like, why would they let them go? Obviously they were trying to teach the kids something here when they let the kids teach, and then just kill them. I don't know. So that part, if I did not see that, then maybe that's the reason, but I didn't like that choppiness. But then we get to see that, Daryl holds back because he's making sure that the person that they knocked out is tied up so he can't come back. And we get to see Michonne pushes forward. And because of, her hesitation for, taking out kids, she does get a little bit more wounded. There's a couple times where I'm like, dang, she's like she didn't get a miscarriage or something from that, because she gets like sliced in her pregnant belly, and then she gets beaten on the back with like a plank and stuff, which was all really cool. There's this part of me that, seeing them have this life or death scenario against kids, it's one of those that I just don't know how believable that is. But, I think it's not that it's not believable, because I think they did it in a good way, but it was just like, it's kind of funny, you know? I don't know how you could make that really tension heavy, but I guess, you know, like I said, the way they filmed it, the way they, you know, the things that they choose to focus on, you know, like the psychological aspect of like, dang, you know, I never thought I'd have to kill a kid, let alone multiple. So, you know, that focus I think really helps the scene. But we get to see, like I said, you know, she just slaughters all these kids because basically, you know, the people gave the order to kill Judith and the other Alexandrian children because, you know, Michonne's there to, you know, kick names and take ass. So we get, yeah, that was a reference to something. So if you didn't get that, that's fine. But, you know, we get to see that, you know, she takes out the threat. She saves the Alexandrian children. They go back to Alexandria, but Michonne is changed into the person that we've basically seen this part of the season since the flash forward, or I should say the time skip. So that leads us getting back to the present day storyline where, you know, Michonne meets up with Judith out in the skirts, you know, in the midst of taking out walkers, which I do like it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I would like to see, well, now on second thought, I mean, I need to rephrase that. I think the way they stop, you know, go back and forth between her killing the walkers and then, you know, seeing the moment she's about to strike at the kids, that's cool. Obviously, I mean, not that I don't think anybody wants to see children get slaughtered, but I mean, you know, it's probably because of, you know, their network thing, whatever. But, you know, we get to see that she, quote unquote, saves Judith from an attack, but then that's when they get to have a heart-to-heart. And, you know, I was thinking about it, it's like, I don't know why Michonne probably didn't think of this aspect. Of course, you know, the viewer's mind's probably the same thing. It kind of just went over their head. But I kind of thought of it too when we saw the flashback for that Judith was actually older, or at least, you know, like 4 or 5-ish maybe, when the events happened. And since she was one of the people kidnapped, you would think that that image would get seared into your mind, or you would recollect that. I know personally I have memories when I was like 5 all the way back to, you know, when I was 3. Again, you know, still though, even if it's like images or like certain things, you still remember certain things. So I you know, it's like surprising that Michonne didn't think that she might remember. Of course, we do get to see that Michonne says that, like, you know, she always hoped that she would remember, so that, you know, like, for one, she probably didn't have to go over every little detail, but also the fact, you know, like, you live through it, you have a better understanding about stuff. So we get to see, though, that Judith does remember, and, you know, there's basically the turning point of getting Michonne to snap out of this, this kind of, I mean, I call it a stupid mentality, because it's like, you know, I understand if you don't want to get new strangers, but the fact that you turn your back on even, like, people you've known for years, and, like, actually survived with since the, you know, the world went to shit. That part's never got to me, so I'm glad that, you know, we got her snapped out of it, and Judith is able to get the old Michonne back, I guess I could say, and they actually go out and they pick up Daryl and the rest to go to the kingdom. And that's basically the end of the episode. I'm trying to move somewhat timely because I want to be able to not have to edit this so that we don't have another mistake like the last episode. But I will quickly say that these last 2 episodes have been a turnaround for me. I've liked them a lot more than the ones we got before. There was a few that were before that I think they just had too many problems. Granted, they were more little things, but they were still enough that it's just, like, you know, hurts your enjoyment. But these last 2 I think have been really good. Real quick, since I didn't have the video from last week uploaded, I'll just say a couple things I thought were good. I thought the whole Whispers thing, especially with Daryl and Beta, I loved that. That was great. I could go watch that over and over again. That's one of the best one-on-one fights we've seen in the show in a long time, or just like in the duration of the entire show. Again, you know, the whole Lydia and Daryl, or not Lydia and Daryl, Lydia and Henry aspect, it's a little bit better in the last episode, but it's still, you know, it's not hidden on all cylinders. I think they do good for what they're given, you know, in this short amount of, like, what, 3 episodes, you know, but it's kind of fine because who wants to watch about teen drama, romance, and this kind of show? So that's fine. In this episode, I don't want to say the flashback news story was anticlimactic, but I feel like it I don't know. I mean, I guess in a sense, I do understand why it turned Michonne into the person that we see her, because, like, if it was just other people, another bad group, and they did some really heinous stuff, like, and, she had to kill him, it's like, yeah, I mean, she's done that before. I don't really know why that would change anything. So I understand that there would have been, like, something that, like, psychologically would have had to kind of mess her up a little bit. And so in that regard, I think it landed, but I don't know. I guess I was just expecting something a little bit more. So I liked it, but I think it could have been a little bit better. But with that being said, I think it was still a good episode. I think there was less problems in this episode than, in some of the other episodes in the season. Going forward into the next episode and later on in the season, it looks like we're going to get some fair looking like the actual fair going on in the next episode, and maybe even the talk down with Daryl and Alpha. It looked like we saw a little bit of that, as well as the confirmation that Daryl's like, oh shit, I didn't kill Beta. Fuck. So looking forward to that. It looks like like they're gearing up for like the last episode to be the border and everything like that. So I'm happy to see that we're gonna get that, and I can't wait because I've heard that there's talk about there might be snow in the last episode, so if they put the border plus snow, oh man, that would look really cool. So I hope that's the case. I did, like when I recorded the other video, I was talking about the, I guess they're calling them the Highwaymen now, the group that the Kingdom ran into. At first I thought, they could be going an approach of like, oh, maybe they're going to be Whisperers like in disguise to kind of infiltrate the Kingdom and kind of do like what the comic tried to do, but explain it a little bit better because that was one plot hole in the comic. But it looks like that's not the case because we get to see that there's Whisperers at the Kingdom and they're like, we need to tell Alpha, unless they're doing some time messing to where that was like way before the Kingdom even ran into the Highwaymen, then maybe that theory could still hold up, but I'm not so sure right now. But I think they definitely could make it fit because of several things. I won't go into here because of time. If I get the other video uploaded eventually, you'll probably see me go into a little bit more detail about that theory. But with that, guys, that will conclude this review. I'm trying to keep them below 20 minutes this time, so, hopefully that works out. And we got this, so you're not just staring at my face. But, yeah, so we got 2 more episodes. I don't know for sure if I'll be back for the next season afterwards. I guess it just depends on, what all you guys liked about me covering this, if you guys are going to continue watching the show. I'm really, waiting until I see the finale to really decide. But anyway, guys, like I said, I'm going to shut up. So I'll see you guys next week. Later.